Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at ODT to PDF, the Document Fidelity Showdown. We are diving straight into a classic digital dilemma that pretty much all of us have faced at some point, and we're going to uncover what's really happening behind the scenes. We're putting two totally distinct workflows head-to-head. It's the ultimate showdown between lightning-fast, browser-based document conversion and the rock-solid native export capabilities of software like LibreOffice. We're going to tear down how these tools actually work under the hood, compare their strengths, and figure out exactly which method you need to guarantee your document looks perfect when it reaches its final destination.
Okay, let's dive into this. Ever sent a perfectly formatted document only to have the recipient see a completely broken, unreadable mess? Yeah, we've all been there. You spend hours meticulously crafting a report, tweaking the margins, getting the images perfectly aligned, and you email it off. But when the recipient opens it on their end, the tables are shattered, the fonts look weird, and the images are floating somewhere off the page like they've been put through a digital blender. It is incredibly frustrating. And in the open source software world, this formatting disaster is actually a really common hazard when you're sharing files outside of your specific software ecosystem. Which brings us right to the heart of the dilemma, the ODT file.
So what exactly is an ODT? Well, it stands for Open Document Text. It's an international XML-based open standard document format. That means it's totally free from corporate lock-in, which is honestly fantastic. It's the native default format used by incredibly popular software like LibreOffice and OpenOffice. But here's the catch, and the stakes are pretty high here. While it champions open standards, it severely lacks universal compatibility across different devices. If you email an ODT file to someone who doesn't have LibreOffice installed, say they're opening it on an iPhone, they either won't be able to open it at all, or their device will just try to guess the formatting. And that leads directly to that broken, unreadable mess we just talked about.
And this is exactly why converting to a PDF is the absolute hero of our story. Converting that ODT to a PDF solves all of our sharing and distribution problems pretty much instantly. First off, PDF provides universal compatibility. Literally any modern device or web browser can open a PDF without needing any special software. But more importantly, it provides formatting preservation. It effectively locks in the look. The fonts, the layout, the tables, they stay exactly where you put them. Add in the benefits of read-only protection for distribution, print-ready consistency, and super email-friendly file sizes, it's a total no-brainer. But how we actually get from ODT to PDF, well, that's where things get really fascinating.
Now, what's really interesting here is taking a look under the hood at what an ODT file actually is. Because prepare to have your mind blown a little bit. An ODT isn't actually a single solid file. Actually, scratch that, it's essentially just a disguised zip archive. If you pry it open, you find a whole folder structure inside. There's a file called content.xml that holds all your main text and basic tables. There's a styles.xml file that dictates your basic paragraph and character styles. There's even a dedicated pictures folder holding all your embedded images. When you use a modern browser-based conversion tool, it literally unzips this archive right in your computer's memory, pulling these separate pieces out to figure out how to put your document back together. So how does a browser actually handle that process? It's kind of like a giant puzzle. When you drag your ODT into one of these web tools, it goes through a few specific technical steps. First, it handles the file reading and zip extraction we just mentioned. Then it moves to XML parsing, reading the code to hunt down your content and styles. From there, it does text and image reconstruction, pulling those images out and linking them back to the text. Next, it generates an HTML preview so you can see it on your screen. And finally, it handles the local PDF rendering, usually using a local JavaScript library to turn those elements into a downloadable PDF. It's a massive amount of computational heavy lifting, and it's all happening instantly, right inside your browser window.
Which brings us to an absolutely massive advantage of this browser method, security and privacy. Because all of those complex steps we just walked through are happening via local JavaScript right inside your computer's memory, there is zero network transfer. Your files literally stay on your device. Your confidential business contract or private financial report is never uploaded to a cloud server. There's no server storage, no logging of your data. You get complete local session isolation. Once you close that browser tab, the data is wiped from your memory entirely. So for privacy-conscious users, this is just an incredible win.
But, we have to ask the critical question. Is there a catch to doing all of this locally in a web browser? It's time for our document fidelity showdown. On one side, we have the browser tool. This method champions unbeatable convenience, absolute privacy, and lightning-fast speed, all without requiring you to install a single gigabyte of software. But on the other side, we have native LibreOffice, the original software where the ODT format was born.
And this method promises absolute pixel-perfect fidelity. Let's look at how they stack up when things get a little complicated. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact dividing line between these two workflows. For your everyday standard documents, we're talking basic text and headings, or simple images and links, both the browser tool and native LibreOffice handle them flawlessly. They're fully supported. But watch what happens when we move to complex elements. Complex, nested tables, the browser tool only partially supports them. They might look a bit misaligned. Floating text boxes, the browser completely fails to support them, stripping out the positioning entirely. Custom local fonts, the web tool has to substitute them with generic fallbacks. Meanwhile, native LibreOffice gets a green checkmark straight down the board. To really understand why the browser tool struggles with those complex elements, we just have to remember how it works. Browser tools are essentially playing a game of translation. They're taking a deeply complex XML document that was intended for a dedicated word processor, and they're using best effort HTML rendering to try and make it look right. It completely lacks LibreOffice's native, highly complex rendering engine. Because of this, advanced formatting just slips right through the cracks of this HTML translation process.
So when absolute pixel-perfect fidelity is strictly non-negotiable, say you're finalizing a really complex legal contract or a meticulously formatted university dissertation, you absolutely must use the alternative native workflow. Yes, it requires having the software actually installed, but the process is foolproof. You just open the ODT in LibreOffice Writer, go up to File, hit Export As, select Export as PDF, and you're done. Plus, you instantly unlock a menu where you can choose specific PDF compression options, ensuring every single text box and custom font is locked exactly where you designed it to be.
So, the crucial point here, our golden rule moving forward, is this. If you're dealing with simple letters, basic essays, or standard reports, browser tools provide quick, totally private conversion. They're fantastic. But for complex contracts with advanced formatting, LibreOffice's native export remains the absolute gold standard. It's the only way to guarantee that level of fidelity. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question about your own daily workflow. Will your next document prioritize the lightning speed and privacy of a browser tool, or does it demand the absolute perfection of native export? Understanding exactly how these two tools work gives you the power to make sure your documents always look flawlessly professional. Thanks so much for diving into this with me. Keep experimenting, and I'll see you in the next explainer.